Last War fans, Dirk Diggler here, and it's time to talk about Desert Storm. I've gotten multiple requests for this video, so I've done the homework, done the research, and put it all together just for you. If you enjoy this video, please click like, please comment something nice, and please subscribe. Without further ado, let's get cracking. I'm going to give you an overview of the game. We're going to talk about the stages. We're going to go over the structures in the map. We're going to discuss Stage 1 and Stage 2 strategy and approach. And then lastly, I'm going to give you some tips, hints, hacks, and tricks, which I hope will help you out. Why do I feel like I'm at work doing a work presentation? I don't know, but I do. Overview of the game. Desert Storm is an alliance versus alliance war event. You can have up to 30 players register. You'll have 20 active players and 10 subs. There's a Desert Storm Team A and a Desert Storm Team B. You have 3 different times to choose from to register for Desert Storm Team A or Desert Storm Team B. They cannot participate at the same time, and registration ends Wednesday night at reset. So keep that in mind. If you want to register for Desert Storm, get her done. I do recommend you get as many players as possible. You really want to get those 20 active players plus the 10 subs signed up because somebody will run out of troops during the fight and will want to get tagged in. Make sure you have people sign up that are actually going to show up as well, because let me tell you, it's no fun when you sign up 20 people and only 12 of them show, and now you're fighting against 16, 18 people and you get your butt whooped. So make sure those people that sign up, remind them, hey, bud, Desert Storm at XXX time, you're registered. I suggest you do that. The team with the most points wins. It's that simple. The goal is to get points. There's different ways to get points, and we're going to go over that here in a minute. Talk about stages, talk about the setup. The Desert Storm event is 30 minutes long, so keep that in mind as you plan your day. Desert Storm stages. You have pre-stage, which is where you enter the map, but you have not started the game. Stage 1 is the first 10 minutes of the actual game. Stage 2 is the remaining 20 minutes of the game. Structures and map. I'm going to go over all the structures and where they are on the map. I do recommend you print this map out so it's easy to find during the game. I did leave a few things off the map. I left off the mini map, which is up in the top right of your screen. I left off the 2 oil fields as well. We'll get into those details later. Let's talk about the Science Hub. It's in the lower right. This gives you a buff to decrease the teleport cooldown timer, as well as increase your march speed by 50%. We have the Info Center here, which reduces the time to capture a building. What does that mean? Well, when you take over a building, there's a brief moment in time between when you take it over and when you start to get points. If you have the Info Center, it reduces that capture time by 50%. You have your field hospitals. 4 of them, 2 in the top right, 2 in the bottom left. That gives you, I think, 15 troops every 10 seconds, so it's nice to have those field hospitals. We have the Oil Refinery 1, Oil Refinery 2. These do not give you any buffs. They just produce lots of points. Lastly, we have the 3 in the middle, which do not open until Stage 2. So that's right. These are not available until 10 minutes after the start of the game. You have the Arsenal. This gives your team, your squads, a 15% buff in defense, attack, and hit points. You have the Merc Factory, which reduces your opponent's attack, defense, and hit points by 15%. So you can get a total of 30% swing between the Arsenal and Merc Factory. And lastly, you've got the big point gainer, the Nuke. The Nuke gives 50% more points than either of the oil refineries. So if you have all 3 of these, you're going to be getting a lot of points. So that's the basic gist of the buildings, where they are on the map, and some of their buffs. Let's discuss stages and approach. Before you begin Stage 1, you have the pre-stage, where you enter the battlefield and you prepare. Now, there's 2 things I recommend you do. Number 1, get your squads and heroes set. Make sure the gear is on the proper heroes that you want. Make sure the heroes are assigned to the proper squads that you want. That's number one. Number two, get your troops off the walls if you do not think they will be effective. So if you're not a big whale, I suggest you pull your troops off the walls. So that's the pre-stage approach. Stage 1. It is the first 10 minutes of the game. You want to preserve your troops. Here are some suggestions how to tackle Stage 1. Now, I have some priorities that I use. I call my science hub priority 1, my hospitals priority 2, my oil refineries are priority 3. Once again, this is just the first 10 minutes of the game. The science hub is key because it gives you the ability to move around the map, as we discussed earlier. So you're going to want to assign one group of 3 to 4 players to lock down that science hub. Keep it yours. You'll keep that cooldown at the minimum, and you'll keep your troop speed moving around the maps. You want 3 to 4 more groups to lock down hospitals. There's 4 hospitals. Your goal is to get 3 of them. If you need to give up a hospital, give it up. If they got some super strong player that's just destroying you at one of the hospitals, let them have it. And then focus on the other 3. So get at least 3 of the 4. Oil refineries. You're going to have 2 groups of 2 to 3 players to lock down each of the oil refineries. Now, if you can't get them both, that's fine. Focus on one of them. Hold down at least one of them. This will keep you within point differential to come back later on. If you give up both oil refineries, it could get difficult later on to get those points back. So keep that in mind. Your goal is to at least get 1 oil refinery. Your big players and whales, their goal is to move around the map and just kill troops, right? Because this game comes down to 90% of the time who has troops at the end of the game. So if you can remove your opponent's troops quickly, you will help your chances of winning. But the key thing here is to be flexible. Don't just sit at some hospital where you're getting murdered. If you need to move, move. And you want to lock down the important buildings. That's for Stage 1. Stage 2. Stage 2 begins 10 minutes into the game. There's some key points to focus on, which is the nuke, lots and lots of points. But don't forget, both oil refineries added up give you more points than the nuke. So if you have a super whale sitting at the nuke that you cannot touch, go to those oil refineries and capture those. You get 2 of those, you're going to get more points than the nuke. The other thing you want to keep in control, at least 3 or 4 hospitals. So that's also your goal. Keep those 3 hospitals so you're generating more troops than your opponents. Lastly, now you've got 2 other things opened up. If the game is close power-wise, holding the arsenal and the Merc factory will get you that edge that you need to beat them in fights. So, if there's a close battle between people of equal powers, that arsenal and Merc hold will definitely help you. So group 1 now, okay? You were locking down the science hub. That's become of less importance. You want to help with the nuke. You want to help get those oil refineries. Groups 2, 3, 4, and 5, you're doing the same thing as you were doing above. You're holding down the hospitals, keeping those under control. Once again, if you cannot hold down all 4 hospitals, that's okay. Your goal is 3 hospitals. Group 6 and 7, now you're at the oil refineries, right? You want to hold those down because that's still generating a lot of points, but you also want to try to go and grab the arsenal and Merc factory. If you can only grab one, that's fine. Grab one, let them have the other one. It'll cancel out. Not a big deal. But make sure you get one of these. The big players, the whales, you need to start getting points. So you got to hold down the nuke. You want to hold down the oil refineries. You want to get as many points as possible. So keep that in mind, because at the end of the game, if you don't have more points, you're going to lose. So you got to have more points. So oil refineries and nukes, you got to hold them down. Okay, let's talk about some tips, hints, hacks, and tricks. As we talked about earlier, what produces the most points? Well, your nuke silo, by far. But if you can't get the nuke silo, like I said, go after those oil refineries. Remember, 2 oil refineries generate more points than the nuke silo. So you hold down those 2 oil refineries, you're still going to be doing pretty well. And look at those field hospitals. Also provide a lot of points. So those are really good things to hold down, especially if the game is tight. Grab the oil refineries, grab the nuke silo. A lot of people don't realize how big of a difference it makes. But when you look at the chart, you can see that it makes a difference. Now, here's a fun little trick for your whales. Within about 5 minutes of the game, anytime I teleport somewhere, everyone bounces. They bail. They won't attack me. They don't send troops at me. They pull their troops out of whatever building I'm going to hit. It's like I'm chasing people around the map. It's pointless. So if you're a whale, change your base skin, right? Show up something obvious. Show up as a pumpkin, right? First 5 minutes of the game, they're like, oh, okay, we're going to start trying to run away from this guy. Switch to a helicopter. Switch to default base. Switch to something. You will be shocked at who doesn't recognize you and how many kills you get off of doing this. And this works quite a bit. The other thing is you can change your name. Change your avatar picture. All things to hide your identity so they don't know the big MFer just sat down next to them and is about to destroy them. That's right. This actually works. Give it a shot. You'll thank me for it. Another helpful trick is you have some lower level bases that are just getting destroyed by some of their bigger players. Not their biggest players, but their bigger players. What you do, you have them sit down near the nuke, have them sit down right next to one of those big players, and piss missile a garrison in to that little player. They will try to attack them, and they will lose troops. I have done that a number of times. It works wonders. They try to pick on these little guys, try to get some easy points, and then they run into your top squad. That's a lot of fun. Another tip that I do that you got to be careful of, I wait till my cooldown timer is done and I can teleport. I will actually send out all 4 squads, so I'm running naked. I'll put piss missiles in the nuke. I'll grab maybe the arsenal and maybe an oil refinery, whatever I can to help my team out, and I'll run naked while I have my teleport. So it has its good points, has bad points. Eventually, they will realize that's what you're doing, and they'll start teleporting next to you and trying to hit you. So you may have to hold back a troop to keep them on your wall. But you'll be surprised how long you get away with it when they just want to stay away from you. So as a big whale, it'll help. And lastly, keep an eye on the points, right? Because at the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins. So if they're getting too far ahead of you, change your focus. If people are running out of troops, change your focus. The key thing is to adapt and overcome. So you have those groups of players, make sure they know their assignments, and if they're failing at their assignments, make sure they have a backup plan. And the other thing, like I said earlier, make sure you know the map. That is super important that you are not fumbling around, clicking on the little mini map throughout the game trying to find things. I can't tell you how many times I've sat there clicking on the map. Oh, where's Field Hospital 2? Oh, no, I'm at Field Hospital 4. Oh, I'm at Field Hospital 3. Anyhow, print the map out so you know where everything is, so you have it memorized. I mean, I have it almost memorized by now, especially doing this video. Now I know where everything is like the back of my hand. If there's any tips, hints, hacks, or tricks that I missed, please let me know. I would love to hear them. I know I missed a couple of things in this video. One of the things I didn't cover is healing troops. Your teammates cannot help you heal troops. That was one of the big frustrating things. I was like, they can't help me heal. You can use speed ups. You can gem your troops as well. Also keep in mind, like I mentioned earlier, you want to have subs. The more subs you have, the better. Somebody will run out of troops, and you'll want to bring in a sub. And a lot of times, the winning team is the team that had more participation. I mean, this is in Last War in general, right? Server versus server, who has the most bases in the attack or the defense tends to win. And the same thing goes in Desert Storm. Get the participation numbers where they need to be. And like I said, again, if you have any tips, hints, hacks, or tricks that I missed, please let me know what they are. I would love to share your suggestions with my audience. I hope you enjoyed this video. It did feel like I was doing a presentation for work, so hopefully it's worth it to you guys. And if you have any questions, comments, leave them below. Thank you so much.